Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So, I've recently finished two books by this author called Yuval Noah Harari. I finished Sapiens and Homo Deus. Now, this guy, he's a university professor in Jerusalem, and he's also an advisor to the WEF, or World Economic Forum. And honestly, I did not like these two books at all that much, and I'm gonna explain why, of course. Also, my apologies because I know I said I was gonna finish *Sapiens* ages ago, but just now very recently anyway, I've come about finishing both of these. I wanted to talk about both of these as opposed to just one of them. *Sapiens* is, well, the subtitle is called A Brief History of Humankind, so this is basically about the past, and *Homo Deus* is basically a speculation about the future. So this is basically on the future, and this book I believe came out first anyway. So both of these books honestly did catch my eye, but I didn't know what I was what I was gonna be into. So anyway, he's a bit controversial. I'll put some comments on what some people think of him. Of course, like, he has many supporters and whatnot as well, but some people are not fond of these books either. But I'll explain my personal thoughts firstly. I did think, first of all, especially *Sapiens*, I definitely liked *Sapiens* more because I thought the history that he went into was quite interesting. I didn't really like how in the first 90 or so pages it felt very speculative and unconfirmed to me, as if he was just trying to pinpoint how it could be evolutionary instead of creationist, as you might say. And I thought, like, there's just some things that didn't really make sense, or felt like a bit selective on what he wanted to talk about. He definitely went over a lot. I mean, this book is, what, 400 plus pages? 464 pages or something, 470 something pages. It's very heavy. Same thing with *Homo Deus*. This is also minimum 440, 450 pages. So I like that these books are quite heavy. But *Sapiens*, like, I felt like it was a bit speculative. If it didn't really like mesh well, like some concepts with others. I did like some of the ideas discussed though. Like, I did kind of enjoy reading it, to be honest. *Homo Deus*, though, this book was a bit crazy though. Basically, this book was like, well, as it mentioned, it's called A Brief History of Humankind. So he tries to touch on different aspects of humanity and inventions and civilizations that he finds to be like the most impactful. He discusses a whole chapter on capitalism, for example, which obviously, like, most countries anyway are adopting nowadays. And I found, like, some ideas interesting. I really didn't like how he discussed many things like fictions though, like religions and cultures, and it seemed like any religious Muslim or Christian would get very triggered by both of these books, honestly, not just *Sapiens*. But I'll get to *Homo Deus* now. *Homo Deus*, I honestly didn't really like this book that much. I thought it was very, like, reductionist, if that's a good way to say. It felt like he was just reducing us to algorithms and to just, like, hackable organisms. And I'll get to, if you wish, you can easily search up any video or clip of it where he talks about how he can hack us, or how digital clouds and digital services and databases will eventually one day, like, breach into the human body and quite literally steal all of our data, which is, like, anyways, where we're heading into, because he's an advisor to the World Economic Forum. And he talks about how, like, basically in this book, right? Mainly not the *Sapiens* as much, but this one, *Homo Deus*. He talks about how we're gonna essentially have a useless class, and I swear in my life he said this on a video anyway. And he's gonna talk about how in this book, it's actually insane. I don't know how what words are coming out of my mouth now, but basically he talks about how we're gonna no longer restrict ourselves to the natural laws of the planet and of the universe, and instead, since we're going to engineer ourselves using AI and using robots and nanobots, we're gonna eventually make superhumans, and these superhumans will result in digital dictatorships, and basically these superhumans will rule over, like, the useless class, or the class of, like, humans that are going to just turn into, like, robots and, inferiors, and what's the word, like, not only inferiors, like useless people useless people, literally. And it's quite concerning because he's made lectures and he has, like, more than 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's very weird, like, where like his ideas and, like, the way he talks about, like, people in general, it's very odd. I honestly, halfway through Homo Deus, Sapiens I actually kind of like, to be honest. But Homo Deus, I literally was like reading halfway into this book, and I just wanted to put it down. Honestly, I just couldn't wait to finish reading this book. So yeah, honestly, definitely not a positive end, but I just wasn't too fond of these books. Many people like hopefully agree with this as well. I've seen comments just like not really liking his viewpoints and whatnot too. It is certainly voiced strongly in Homo Deus. Sapiens, I guess not as much though. Um, and that's basically it. I'm reading Thomas Erickson's Surrounded by Setbacks right now. Very amazing book, but hopefully I'll review it soon, inshallah, God willing. And that's basically all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching.
People will need to retrain themselves, or if they can't do it, then if you can't do it, the danger is you fall down to a new class, not unemployed, but unemployable, the useless class.
By the way, I forgot to say just one more thing. In Homo Deus, it's just for the sake of the thought or the idea, not so much of like the idea itself that I like, but rather like the fact that I'm aware of this idea now, where he talks about humanism and like different ideologies within humanism. Obviously, one of them being liberalism, but like, he was talking about how when it comes to like a lot of events nowadays, religious people, even not just non-religious people, will kind of try to like make the arguments more about humans or like human beings themselves instead of like their nation or their culture or their religion or whatever. So he cited an example of the infamous gay parades that happen in Jerusalem, and usually the religious Muslims, Christians, and Jews like all don't like it. But instead of them using like a reason such as, oh, God made this a sin, why do you still do this sin, shame on you, they say, oh, we respect you guys already, you should respect us, you should respect where we live, and so on. So it's a bit interesting, like we kind of switch the script on ourselves. So I don't know, I found that very interesting, but not as a way of like complimenting the author, just like as a what's the word, food for thought, if you will.